All right, from ice raids to rainbow crosswalks, Thanksgiving, there is so much for us to discuss with San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz Jones. She joins us now live on the set for our KSAT Q&A. Mayor Jones, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, y'all.
By the way, she brought her mother with her today, so we have to be
Behind
extra
the
good. We have
scenes.
to behave extra good today. So thank you, Mayor. And
We're going to the interfaith service right after this. So.
Fair enough. Very good. Well, thank you for giving us a few minutes here. We have a lot to get to, some different things here. We talked about earlier regarding that ice raid that happened back on the 16th, November 16th. Our colleague Devin Karp had laid out some of the statistics on the nationalities of the people that were detained, and it seemed like the number that he had put out maybe didn't jive with the total, some of the more higher numbers that have been put out there in terms of how many people were detained. In other words, what do you know about that? Are there some loose ends still that need to be tied up as it relates to just getting all the information out?
Well, soon after that raid, I sent a letter to the acting chief of the FBI here and asked for additional information on that. We have to balance public safety and public trust, right? And that requires transparency. Basic questions like, hey, of the folks that were brought in, you know, how many of them are American citizens and how many of them don't have a criminal record? And of those folks, how soon can they be released? These are basic questions that our community, you know, deserves answers to. I think the community is also rightly concerned as we look at other parts of the country, whether you're looking at Charlotte or other places, you know, wanting to make sure that we are doing all that we can to get the answers that our community deserves.
How do you interpret when it says that these people had ties to Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang?
Anything.
I mean, does that mean that they are a gang member? They're related to a gang member? I mean, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think, so look, having served in the intelligence community,
Right.
What you also don't want to do, though, is speculate,
Yeah.
right? And that's why we just need the answers. Just give us the answers and make sure that we can, you know, lay flat any conspiracy theories or any mistruths that are out there. And frankly, again, we've got to balance public trust and public safety, and that starts with transparency.
Okay, so now we want to talk about the rainbow crosswalk. Pride San Antonio putting pressure on you, the city. They're basically telling the city to reject that order from the state, which came down where Governor Greg Abbott said, we want you to remove anything that's distracting from these streets. And the argument was that it was about public safety. All right. Well, this group now, Pride San Antonio, is saying that if the city doesn't back them, because they want to keep the rainbow crosswalks, that they're taking the case to court. What's your response?
They're free to do that. They're a private entity, and they're free to exercise their legal rights. I continue to maintain, as the chief elected officer in this city, I have a duty to ensure that we are considering all factors in this. The governor and others have been very clear about the potential retribution, the potential threat to
Taking funds away, yeah.
That's right, to our infrastructure, et cetera. And look, when we think about the long game here and frankly who some of these impacts may fall upon, which is the most vulnerable. We just went through the longest federal government shutdown in our community, and who did that fall to? The most vulnerable. So we know retribution that is frankly, again, not impossible as they've alluded to. We've got to think about what moves the ball forward. I think there are many ways in which we can show our pride as a community and frankly show good allyship with my LGBTQ community, and I think that's where we should be focused. And I'm working with the chamber on ideas to do just that, and so I look forward to doing that. But again, this group is a private entity and free to exercise their rights.
But in a perfect world, would you like to see them stay, the crosswalks?
Of course. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is, I think it's important. Those are also, I think, importantly to know, privately funded, right? And I think the data has also shown that there, in fact, is no public safety issue here.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. All right, that was not about good order and discipline in the way that this paint is not about public safety. I think we just have to recognize the moment that we're in, though, and be clear-eyed and pragmatic, and think about the real harm to our community if we are not.
Yeah. And don't ask, don't tell, by the way, as it relates to your military service is what you're talking about. So, very good. Okay. As you were coming in, you were bringing up something that I was not aware of yet. You were talking about something that's happened in Dallas as it relates to the election, which I guess is scheduled for 2026, that could be in play for San Antonio. And could save us some money potentially?
So to back up, earlier this year, the legislature, there was a bipartisan bill that passed that essentially said municipalities could move their elections, right, from May to November, only in an off year, so the odd years, right? And so Dallas took advantage of that, and they just 10 days ago their council voted to move it from May into November. And the reason that cities have chosen to do this is because, one, it saves money. By an estimate by our own city manager, if we were to move our election from May to November, we'd save $1 million. And oh, by the way, and when they did this in other communities, they saw turnout double. Right, and so I know the complaints, low turnout around around a May race. I mean, we had an election during Fiesta, not ideal, right? I think it's important that we are thinking about how can we save money, how can we also encourage turnout, and the piece of the legislation that I referenced. The thing that is tricky about that, and why we need a sense of urgency, why I asked my colleagues that we consider this. I sent them a memo as well as some additional information that could provide some thoughts around this, is because the legislation is very clear. If you want to do this, municipalities, you have to do it by the end of the year. So there is time, not a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I think, the other thing that's important is that if we don't do this, we would be the only major Texas city with a municipal election not in November. Austin has theirs in November of an on year, right? So an even year. All the others, Dallas and Houston have theirs in November of an odd year. This has been the case in Houston for decades. And again, you hear me talk every time I'm up here about the budget gap. And so if we can save ourselves $1 million and have double turnout in a municipal election, that seems like a good thing to consider.
Okay.
Mayor Jones, thank you so much for being with us here on the set.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
And I hope that you enjoy the service with your mom.
Oh, thank you.
Very good. Okay, we'll be right back.